Welcome to the Heroic Investing Show. As first responders, we risk our lives every day. Our financial security is under attack. Our pensions are in a state of emergency. A single on-duty incident can alter or erase our earning potential instantly and forever. We are the heroes of society. We are self-reliant and we need to take care of our own financial future. The Heroic Investing Show is our toolkit of business and investing tactics on our mission to financial freedom.
Hello and welcome to episode 156 of the Heroic Investing Show. This is a podcast for first responders, for members of the military, veterans, and anyone looking to improve their financial future and gain some freedom with their time. My name is Gary Pinkerton and I co-host this with Jason Hartman. We teach America's heroes how to build passive income, build their startup business, and safely grow wealth through real estate and other alternative investments. We help current and prior first responders and members of the military put protections and systems in place to enable them to build a life where they can focus on their passion, that service or product that they are uniquely gifted to share with the world. I think you're really going to enjoy this one with Mr. Tim Kelly. So Tim is an active duty Navy chief, and he's working in Pensacola, Florida, and he's teaching officers ethics, which for me is just amazing to think that the Navy, it just explains the talent and the character that is Tim Kelly, right? I mean, I taught ethics to officers at the Naval Academy before they went to Pensacola, and I was a Navy captain, right? There were commanders who were doing it. Tim is a senior enlisted leader. He's teaching this from the perspective of the men that these officers are going to go out and work with. And, it's just really impressive. He's an impressive guy, clearly. Most impressive, though, is what he's doing as an active duty member of the military with his real estate. So this comes from his website, kellyhousinggroup.com. And I want you to just hear this, kind of think in your mind about the timelines. So in 2011, Tim, while not on shore duty at the time, found his first single family residence, and they had the intention to, do some forced appreciation and then successfully flip that. And they did for pretty substantial profit. And so then he started thinking about long-term renting and started to be a buy and hold investor, right? So that was 2011. That's when I started. So, my wife and I kind of stayed with single family or 1 to 4 families as I focus on, my business and other, getting other things up and running. But look what Tim has done in that same period of time. So again, he sold his first one in 2011, and then he got on shore duty in Florida. And here's what he's done there. In 2016, he purchased 2 plots of raw land and developed them. 2017, he purchased a 4-unit building, rehabbed it, and put a good long-term loan on it, still holding that asset. He invested the same year in a Class A West Coast single-family development project. He partnered with some friends and syndicated a 42-unit apartment building. He syndicated, I just want to repeat that, in 2017, already learned that process. He's bought a triplex this year, and he's got a few mobile home parks, 27-pad park, and he's got a couple more under contract. So this is really, really humbling for me, being someone who's out there, doing real estate on the side, which essentially is what Tim's doing as well. I've had an opportunity to meet several mutual friends or talk with several mutual friends, and Tim is the real deal. So I think any of you who are interested in going bigger and doing syndications and doing multifamily, mobile home parks, they're just really, really exciting aspects or different classes in real estate, cash flowing assets that I think you owe it to yourself to take a really, really hard look at. And somebody who's teaching ethics to officers, I think might be someone that you could depend on a little bit. So Tim Kelly is a great addition to my network, and I think you're going to feel the same once you have an opportunity to listen to this gentleman and see some of the work that he has up on his website and his other writings and just the work that he's done out there. His, I guess I'd say dossier, his history that I just read you about how much real estate he's done. So I think you're going to enjoy this podcast, and I think you're also going to have a lifelong friend here when you reach out and connect with Tim. Thanks so much to Tim for joining us on this, and everybody, let's get with it. Let's listen in as Tim tells us about how he got where he is and the lessons that he thinks he could pass along to the rest of us out there looking to do the same thing. And thanks again for joining us for this episode of Heroic Investing, and welcome back. And as I mentioned in the introduction to this show, we have a great pleasure of having yet again another active duty member of the military. We have Navy Chief Tim Kelly with us. And first of all, Tim, thanks so much for joining us. And did I get the rank right? I forgot if there was a senior or a master in front of that one.
No, not a problem. Yep, Chief Petty Officer is absolutely correct.
Awesome. Well, Tim, thanks for joining us. Tim's coming to us from Pensacola right now. He's still holding in there, teaching some pilots some important ethics and systems knowledge while he runs just a tiny little side gig. And Tim, tell us about how you ended up where you are. And I mean, not so much Pensacola. I mean, you can certainly add that. We're obviously on this podcast more interested in how in the world you're an active duty guy just killing it out there with your own business.
Yeah, thanks again for having me, Gary. Pleasure. I heard about this platform and I was so stoked to be asked to be on. So thanks again for having me. So yeah, I'm Tim Kelly. I'm currently an active duty Navy Chief Petty Officer stationed in Pensacola, Florida. Just got here about 18 months ago. The last 10 years of my career, I was stationed in the Hampton Roads area of Virginia. So Norfolk, Virginia, Virginia Beach, and that region. Currently, I'm here. I took water survival instructor orders because I'm a rescue swimmer in the military or in the Navy. But I'm teaching the flight students, just like you said, all the pilots from the Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, and even some foreign military pilots are coming through here, and I'm teaching them about engine systems. I also have engines in my background, as well as ethics and personal development, which is something I love. I really love talking about the mindset. So yeah, I'm doing that. And so, when I was still in Hampton Roads, actually on a deployment, I started reading more and more about personal finance because I've always had an incredible interest in building wealth and personal finance. The more I read, the more I realized how real estate is probably the best vehicle that is open and that is offered to literally anybody. And real estate has made more, financial freedom and created more multimillionaires and millionaires than any other investment vehicle. So I just got more and more interested in it. The more I read about it, the more I learned all the benefits, the more I got interested. And then, with my thrill and my interest and passion in personal finance, I also had the pleasure of becoming a command financial specialist at my last two duty stations, where I actually went through just a little quick 1-week school, and I got to mentor and screen one-on-one many service members if they had questions or if they had some financial issues. And I realized that many people who I was talking to just simply didn't get it. And I did. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed learning about this stuff. And then I kind of just realized, okay, well, in our school system, there's no personal financial education. In our country, in our society in general, there's no financial education. So I can't blame these people. So now that's another business that I'm establishing is a financial education and personal financial coaching. And so, that's how I kind of saw real estate as an incredible asset class. And I just got more and more interested in the more I read about it, the more I learned. And then I kind of just went straight for multifamily. It's just made the most sense to me. That would help me, reach my goals quicker. And that's what we do. Now my partners and I invest in and syndicate multifamily deals in the affordable housing space. And so we focus on apartment complexes, and even now more so mobile home communities is what we're targeting more than ever for a lot of different reasons. And we're also offering investors incredible returns. I mean, we're offering we're giving ordinary people access to extraordinary deals and, with explosive cash flow and upside. So we really love doing that, offering investors incredible return on their capital too. So that's kind of me, and luckily I'm on shore duty right now, so I'm not deployable, and that's why I'm really taking advantage of all my off time. I'm really kind of hitting the ground running and just grinding and building relationships with people and focusing on professional development and kind of on that path, and I love it, man. I'm having a blast.
It's awesome. It's really inspiring to hear. You have launched pretty fast, in your bio. We talked about, your first, like many members of the military, probably the most common story about have you ever owned investment rental property? And if you're in the military, the answer is probably yes. What happened was I lived in it and then I moved on to my next duty station and rented it for a while, saw the value and just kept doing that. So a lot of people build a trail of rental properties behind them, in other duty stations. You did that once, right? And then you started purchasing intentionally for, kind of like I have done the last 8 years of buying only investment property, something you haven't lived in, got a little more focused on it. And then in just the last year, you've done multifamily, 42-unit building, and a mobile home park. And I've just continually, the last 2 months, I've been inundated by people doing mobile home parks, clients, friends, investors, people that I've invested with. Everyone is focusing on that. And I think it's probably a cycle. What I want to say, it's an indication of where we are in the real estate cycle. If that's true, then the next thing that will become very viable is condo conversions from apartment buildings, because as the cost of properties get expensive and, just before 2000 and then again before 2008, it seems like you move across the industry to different things. And I agree with you that every signal I see out there coming from multiple different directions is that mobile home parks are absolutely rocking over the next few years.
Oh, yeah, man. We love them. For those who kind of understand, the basics of commercial real estate and cap rates, apartment complexes are great, but there's so many people looking at them. So cap rates just significantly dropped over the last 2 to 3 years. And a cap rate is simply just your return on your capital. So if you paid cash for the property, that is essentially your return. And that is how deals are analyzed by cap rates. And we assess through the net operating income and the cap rates. That's simply how you assess a commercial property. And because we saw that, we're like, well, what else could we turn to? What other asset classes are out there? And we looked at all the other asset classes, and we wanted to stay in housing, specifically affordable housing. And we believe that mobile home communities are the solution to this insane affordable housing crisis that we're having, where the demand is so high and the supply is so low, as well as, other benefits. Many, I think now, and like you said, and a lot of investors are getting smarter and kind of looking past that stigma of a trailer park or a mobile home park as being an asset that you would never want to own due to, people speculate and the tenant base who occupies these parks are drug dealers and they are involved in crimes and violence. And that's just not the case. I mean, of course, there are parks out there where the owner is not active or they're, you're quote unquote slumlord, but there's a lot of mom and pops right now who are trying to run their park and maybe who are getting to the point where they're too old or they don't want to anymore, or they just don't know how to run it properly. And there's so many opportunities out there to provide this affordable, functional, safe housing to people in our society who are looking for housing, who have jobs, they have good jobs, their income is just not high enough to purchase their own home. And we make a very low barrier of entry for them to own their own mobile home. And it's just a win-win because we would rather not own the home. We would rather own the ground and rent out the plot, on them and just collect lot rent. And they can become homeowners, which is what we're also trying to do. We're trying to provide that housing and make them homeowners at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's so many benefits to it. You've got, as housing gets more expensive across America, people just go down in the standard, kind of step down in the level. And, mobile homes are near the bottom end of that lower level, probably right before moving back in with your parents. And so it provides, flexibility and freedom, but it also gets rid of some of the problems that I have in my multifamilies, which is high turnover, right? I mean, if the person owns the house, it's not all that cheap to back up the semi-truck and pull your house to some other place. So it keeps vacancies down, and the people are not calling you to fix their toilet because they own it, right? There's a lot of advantages to this asset class, I believe. But lest we make it too much into mobile home parks, you and our previous guest, Stuart Grazier, who we talked to from up in the Denver area, he's active duty Navy as well, and he's doing some flips and stuff up in the northern Midwest. You guys are both with a group of Armed Services Cash Flow, another service that provides some mentors and stuff. Could you talk more? I know you're a leader in this organization. I think it'd be really valuable to military, and also speak to, is it open to first responders at all?
Essentially, no. Is anybody, if they're military affiliated in any way, whether they're active duty or reserve or a veteran, or if they're affiliated, in any way, maybe their spouse or something is in the military. Unfortunately, first responders aren't really our target niche, but I could simply talk to the founder and co-founder and see if that's something that we can kind of transition to. I believe there would be a demand for that, and we could also help the first responders who are the mindset and who are trying to create a better quality of life for themselves.
Well, a lot of people that are first responders have been in the military or vice versa. Military has been a first responder. So, I don't think it's too big, but if we do get feedback here on the show, I'll reach out to you and, try to make that happen. And I think with the goal and the abundance mindset that comes with most people in the military, I don't think, I think it would be easily overcomable. But, talk to us a little bit about what it does and what it offers and why they should be interested.
Yeah, so this is an incredible platform, and the platform is called Active Duty Passive Income, ADPI, and it is targeted to military personnel, like I said, military affiliated, reservists, veterans. There is a platform, an education, a step-by-step education platform on how to leverage your VA loan, which is an incredible benefit that so many people are not taking advantage of. And then we talk heavily about house hacking and how it could just catapult your wealth. There's, free content. We give away a free house hacking guide, on the website. And there's also, an academy that walks you through how to close on your first property and all the different things that you need to know to become a real estate investor while you're in the military, whether you're active or you're a reservist. And not only that, the cool thing is it's a community. It's not just, hey, this, you take this curriculum. You have people like me who is one of the team members that are on board to help coach and mentor you through the process. I mean, tomorrow we actually have a Facebook Live going on for the whole community. Me and one of the other co-founders are going to be on the other end. It's just a Q&A call where anybody in the community can ask a question on Facebook Live, and we will be there to walk them through the answers from our experience and from what we've learned and to help them get to the next level. And I think there's one thing when you look at a lot of these platforms that are offering curriculum, but it's another thing when you have a coaching and a mentorship aspect tied along with it, because I know you can't agree anymore to this, but the most successful people on our planet got to that, place in their life because of coaches and mentors that they seek help from and advise from. So this is an incredible platform for education and for knowledge and for support and for mentoring and coaching. So Active Duty Passive Income. Yeah, definitely check it out. And you can definitely reach out to me. I'm sure I'll give, my contact information out. I could send you a VIP link to make sure you get the best benefit out of it. But yeah, definitely check it out if you're military affiliated with any way. And I know a lot of first responders have prior service or they're a veteran. They'll definitely apply. They'll definitely be able to take advantage of it.
That's awesome. Thanks for offering that. And we will make sure to kind of add that in at the end. So what advice do you have out there for the active duty members who get inspired by your talk and some of the other heroic investing shows and say, you know what, that's it, I'm getting into it? Like, what should they look out for? What should they kind of lean on as their best resource? Obviously, go to this website and go through the education portion, seek a mentor. Big picture, though, like some of your better lessons learned.
Yeah. So, I could take this in a few different ways, but I think I'll point out the few most important things that I feel will make the most impact. And that is, think about your why, right? Like, why do you want to get involved in real estate? Why do you want to generate passive income? Think about what it could do for you and think about your why, right? It has to be really strong and solid and like the foundation to what you're going to be doing and all the failures that are ahead of you, right? That you're just going to keep going and get through, and all the obstacles that you're going to have to figure it out and seek help, from other people. So establishing your why, making a decision, you have to commit. You can't do something like this just for fun on the side and, as a hobby, because the rewards are not going to be as well received. And if you actually make a commitment, make a decision to commit, establish your why, and then you have to also focus on your mindset and understand that the scarcity mindset is abundant and the abundance mindset is scarce. Most of the people who are out there, who are surrounded by us in our society, have a scarcity mindset. Not only do 95% of us not get a financial education, go through school, but we're programmed to be employees and have a scarcity mindset and just get a good job and get good grades and go to school and work for somebody else. And people think that, there's money out there is limited, and people don't have a mindset that they actually have to work for what they want and push through all the noise and negativity. There's so many negative people out there, and be the person who's positive, who's that reinforcement. Mindset is critical. And what did you do today to improve your mindset? What did you do today to add value in some way? And you will receive what you give. There's a direct link to your income, and there's a direct link to how much you add value and how much you give to others in our society. I can keep going from the things that I've learned, but you got to wake up with intent. What am I going to do today? Am I going to let life and others around me control my path and route where I'm headed? Or am I going to, the night before, I'm going to say, I'm going to accomplish this and this and this and this, and I'm not going to let anything stop me no matter what? And do you have the mindset that you are going to control your day, or are you going to let others control your day?
That's awesome stuff. I have to ask you, you mentioned that you love talking mindset to the students. Do you have the leeway from naval aviation to, kind of talk about, Napoleon Hill and, masterminding and surrounding yourself with the right people, that kind of level? Or is it a little more, I guess, watered down?
No, because I actually have the opportunity to teach a class specifically called ethics, right? Mm-hmm. So we talk a little bit about ethics and what ethics is and how it's different from morals and kind of what shapes your moral compass and what shapes your ethical compass. And then we talk a little bit about leadership, but I wrap it up with going deep into your mindset and how your mindset will control all of that. And you know what I'm saying? And yeah, I have the opportunities. Every single class that I talk to, and even when I'm teaching another class, I even talk about mindset, and I say, you indeed are the average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with, regardless of whether you think so or not. Those 5 people will make or break your career. If you decide to stay in the military for 20 years and you want to be a pilot and then you want to be a captain one day of a ship or a command, the 5 people you surround yourself with will make or break your career. Yeah. I go deep into that stuff, and because I'm passionate about it, and I think it's so important that I want to give all these individuals at least my impression of it, and so they can start thinking about it, whether they receive it well or not. Hey, even if one person in that whole classroom walks away with value, that means I succeeded.
Absolutely. And so that would be one of the pieces that I would add. And I talk to the listeners about this, very frequently. It is about that aspect of being careful who you surround yourself with, because you can study yourself as much as you want, but if you continue to be surrounded by people who are thinking differently, that, their scarcity mindset, they're more kind of traditionally financially thinking about stuffing the money in the 401k and letting somebody else handle it for you, that is going to stunt your growth. It's going to prevent you from taking the leap. So surrounding yourself with people who think the way that you want to think or at the level you want to get to, super important. And how better is it that there's people in the military in an organization like this that could set up local meetups with you? That, I think, is really that step that's been missing for many years, that you can get together with people that are not only like-minded with respect to finance, but they're also in the military and they understand what you're going through, and you guys can help support each other and watch each other's properties while you're deployed and things. That, I think, is a big aspect that has been missing for a while. I wanted to ask, Tim, are you familiar with Colonel Joe Crane? He ran, retired colonel. He's now a pilot. He was on episode 144 of my show, and he runs a program called Veteran on the Move. Have you guys looked at all into that one?
I have not. I haven't listened to that particular episode, and no, unfortunately not. But I'm gonna make sure I write that down right now and ensure that I at least look into it and reach out to him. So
yeah. The reason I bring it up. Yeah, the reason I bring it up is because he has this book that he publishes, keeps up to date and refreshed, and kind of hands it out to people. It's really good, and it's all these resources for. Now he's really looking specifically at that step where people are making the transition from active duty to veteran, and about getting a job, about starting your business. He's really into helping people have the resources to become entrepreneurs, not necessarily jump right into a W-2 contractor job. But his resources work in the active duty world too. Very many of them work in the active duty world. So I just wanted to remind the listeners of that. And for you, maybe for the active duty passive income website, it could be just another cross link there that could help out everyone. So I have this short story here that I'd finished up command and I was at the Naval Academy working on the staff there. And I was starting to kind of listen to Jim Rohn and starting to kind of just back away from the water cooler conversations, the lunch group out outings and talking about all the stuff everybody else does. And I was just working on self-improvement, and I was working on, building my passive income and my real estate and just studying all the things that I think this active duty passive income is all about. And certainly the personal development is about. And this one moment I remember, I walk out and my staff is standing out there and they're having this conversation about this kind of like an argument about whether you should pay down your mortgage twice as fast, like do every 2-week payments or something. And they turn to me and I'm deep in thought about how can I get more locked in mortgages. And I tell you, it's just one of these moments where you realize that it's like Wizard of Oz, where you're like, Toto, we're not in Kansas anymore. And I walk out and I just kind of pause and they're like, so which do you think, Commander? Is it this or this? Pay down faster, go all cash as soon as possible. And they're like, what's wrong? And I'm like, well, I'm sorry. I was distracted. I've just been spending the last 2 hours trying to figure out how to get more debt, and it was just crazy. I realized at that moment that like, I am surrounded by the wrong people. And I worked really hard to try to get myself surrounded by people who are on this approach. And I point that out to the listeners because at the time I didn't know there were military organizations that were around that could have helped do this. So I went to local real estate meetups with people who and I really had very little in common from our past, but we had a future in common, and that was good. But man, if it's military members who are helping go through the same struggle as you, tremendously better. And I push anyone, go to these sites, all of them, and connect up here with Tim. Your thoughts, Tim, on any of that we talked about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up. And, people who are interested in, even if they're super motivated, they're super hungry, they're going to come across a lot of content, a lot of gurus trying to add a little bit of value and sell some content. My biggest piece of advice when you kind of hit that obstacle, especially if you want to learn about real estate, right, is to learn just enough about all the different niches and all the different ways you can make money in real estate, just enough to decide which one to focus on, and then go super deep and super vertical in that one niche and become awesome at it. Because, I mean, you're going to have people tell you you have to start wholesaling because you don't need money or credit to do that. And then you can build capital. Then you can get some single family rentals, buy and hold. And then, while you're doing that, maybe you can learn about lease options and creative financing. Then you could maybe do some flipping. Then you can maybe look into multifamily and commercial. And you get bogged down like a fire hose, just spraying in your face. And that's cool. Just take maybe just enough time to learn about each niche. And if it's going to fit your goals, does it suit your goals, and what are you trying to get out of it, right? And learn about each of those niches just enough to hone in on one, choose one, and go really vertical in it and be the best at it. And I think that's really what helped me. Like I scratched the surface and went horizontal across all the different niches in real estate. And then I chose multifamily, and I've only focused on multifamily, only listened to multifamily podcasts, read multifamily books at the meetups, only talked about multifamily. And I kind of just didn't let anything else distract me. And I think that helped me kind of scale to where we're at now. And I mean, at 200 units in the last less than 2 years is, the results of that.
That's awesome. In a time where cap rates are pushed down and a lot of people are not buying, you're still finding some really good stuff that still makes sense cash flow wise. So we've got the active duty passive income, contact information. So Tim, in the last couple minutes here, just pass out your information, any alibis for recommendations, and how they can contact you and move forward.
You could simply go to thetimothykelly.com. That's my personal website. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, The Timothy Kelly. I'm somewhat active on Instagram, The Timothy Kelly. And then, Facebook, I'm Tim Kelly. I know there's probably a lot of us on Facebook, but you should be able to find me. I'm, the senior managing partner of Kelly Housing Group, and also water survival instructor, I think is what it says to help you narrow it down which one I am. And then, of course, I always, respect people who are seeking guidance and who are reaching out to help, for help. And you could simply shoot me a text or give me a call at 847-910-9161. I will do everything in my power to help you out, help you get to the next level. And of course, I highly recommend you check out this amazing platform, Active Duty Passive Income. If you're at all military affiliated, check it out. It's incredible. I'm sure you are aware of Rod Cleef, Gary.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's actually writing the foreword to an ebook that we're about to publish here in the next couple of weeks. We built a relationship with him, and he loves what we're doing, and he's about to write the foreword in our book. And we're super excited about that. And it's just an incredible platform with guys who want to do nothing but help and share content and guide people who are hungry and who just want to do it right and who want to commit to goals and who want to commit to improving the quality of life and achieve financial freedom. So yeah, don't hesitate to reach out, man. I'll do whatever I can to help you guys.
Well, that, listeners, is a tremendous offer. And Tim, thank you so much for that. I'm going to join up on the website. I look forward to all of the eligible listeners doing so. And hey, listen, you first responders that have no affiliation, reach out to me at GaryPinkerton.com, and I'll do what I can with Tim to get some access or a little side site that offers the same kind of benefits. All of you, again, that could find value in it, head over to Veteran on the Move as well. And I guess my podcast, or my website. I think it's a lot of resources. And Tim, thanks so much for adding 2 tremendous new ones and for joining us on the show.
Absolutely, Gary. It was an absolute pleasure, man. I look forward to keeping in touch and helping out in any way I possibly can.
Thank you so much for listening. Please be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any episodes. Be sure to check out the show's specific website and our general website, hartmanmedia.com, for appropriate disclaimers and terms of service. Remember that guest opinions are their own, and if you require specific legal or tax advice or advice in any other specialized area, please consult an appropriate professional. And we also very much appreciate you reviewing the show. Please go to iTunes or Stitcher Radio or whatever platform you're using and write a review for the show. We would very much appreciate that. And be sure to make it official and subscribe so you do not miss any episodes. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode.